Okay, so I'm gonna show y'all how I cable manage the rack a little bit. So I'm missing patch panels in some locations. I'm missing other things, but what I like to do is plug up and manage cables on the side so things are a little bit more organized. So on this cable management rail, I'm going to zip tie these up and get these out of the way. And I'm only managing the PD or the rack mount PDUs first. All right, so we have right here, I cable manage these on this rail. And if you look, I'll cut these later, but these are just coming straight to this rail, leaving all of the PDU space on the outlet side open. And I'm gonna be connecting all of my stuff going straight back. So on this top row, I zip tied it, brought the cables over, and I zipped it right here. I'm gonna do the same thing with this. These are 4 cables going from the dash SRO units at the power supply, and I'm gonna let it hang a little bit, but I'm gonna also zip it right here as well. And you'll have 2 power cables like that. And this is just so it has breathing room, so it'll be able to move. So give me 1 second to fix this. Okay, so I got it zip tied right here. And now I zip these every time because I don't want no problems if like Velcro falls or something. And they're zipped a couple of times. So one right here, one right here. These are each to hold each separate braid going to its PDU. Now, we do have these cables coming from the switches over. I will be managing this right here. And I'm gonna do that in a little bit. I also wanna point out a couple of things in the back. If you look in the back, we have 2 sets of power cables that are going in. These are going in to provide power to this device, and these are powering the PDUs. Now, I have them separated a separate way. These are called for it on the install guide for each concept. But if you look, I have my braids going in, both going in, and then I have them coming down on the inside of this. All of them are coming down, and I have them in one single bundle Velcroed to this. Now they're not going nowhere, and I used Velcro, so if somebody has to come in here and remove a cable or swap something out, they could do it with ease and then just put it right back. And that is how I manage the cables on the inside. Now I'm about to finish these cables just so you can see what it looks like, and then I'm gonna give you the overall look. All right, so give me 1 second. Got 2 Velcro sheets right there, or straps. And just to show you the overall, I Velcroed each power supply right here. So if you ever snatch these out, they gotta get through this first. They also have slack in their direction that they're all heading. You get this one right here as well. There's also slack in the way it's going. That way it can't immediately be damaged to pull out. These dash SROs, I put both of their foam keys on the bottommost switch that's above it. That way it's easily accessible on both sides from the back. And all switches in the nodes are going to each of these rack mount PDUs as well. So this is just cable managing this. And I know this looks like it's bungee and it's a lot coming out, and you might ask, like, why didn't I come from the bottom over like this? I feel like it's nicer when they both sets of cables for power are coming from the same direction. That way, if you have to do something in the future, it's not multiple ways coming and it doesn't look as messy. Now, you could choose to do whatever method you want. I choose to do this method just because it's easier. I may not do this method every time. I may swap it up and have both come from up under, or one from the top, one from the bottom. But I've noticed when I have to go back to service these, or I have to edit these, or we're replacing parts on these, it's easier to have them coming from one direction. Now with this backup battery, or this rack mount Veritiv, there are components that you should save. If you look at this, and you see this bag, sometimes you're gonna need those. And we used to throw these away. I recommend to zip tie them and leave them in the rack in the event of an emergency. And I could not tell you the name off the top of my head, but this is needed sometimes. So don't throw these bad boys away. These are where you will find the screws for the ears on the front of this rack mount battery. Right here, you'll find these screws in there too. But yeah, that's how I cable manage this. I'm gonna get started and finish this. I will make one more video to show you what the inside of my rack looks like after I've punched everything down. But I just wanted to show you how it looks like, or what it looks like right now. Thanks. Okay, so I did a little bit more cable management, and two things. One, I'll have the patch panel in here, and I'm gonna turn this rack around so you can see it. But this is the right side. As you can see, all of these patch cables are loose. And it's because sometimes you have to replace these patch cables on or inside of a rack. Now, if we cable manage this, yes, it would look neat. But at the same time, you're going to have to uncable manage this to then go out there, which is not cool. And a lot of times, these skinnier cables, they get fried easily. So it's highly and more likely going to be that you're going to be replacing one of these. Now, they're good cables, don't get me wrong, but I've just come into contact with a lot of problems with these skinnier cables. Now, let's look at the front real quick. On the front, if you can see, I haven't labeled this yet, but I have 3 cables pretty much going into one of the slots for the Panduit cable manager. This is the Panduit cable manager, by the way. I have 3 cables going in one slot, so it looks kind of nice, if not attractive. And I do it pretty much for our high quality, or not, excuse me, high volume triple areas and double areas. So this is 2 cables of the same type going inside the Panduit, which is going out back, and it's 2, 3 up here, and there's 2 down here, and I just kind of repeat this same process from the patch panel into the Panduit, as well as from the switch into the Panduit. It looks nicer like this when you do it like this. Now, not everything is going to be like that, like these. These 2, you can tell are ran together because they're going to the same device, but this one's by itself, even though they're the same color. These and these and these are all doubled up, but they are POSs, these are smart card readers, and then these are kitchen display systems. And like I said, they're only paired up like this because it kind of looks nice like this. Now, you can do what you want, but this is kind of something that I do to stand out, and it just looks nice overall because people think you're like, oh my God, you're a professional, or sweet baby whatever, like you're amazing, or whatever Rick and Morty say, right? Right. So it's kind of tight back here. So I have my braid from the ceiling going all the way up, coming down, and it's on top of the rack. And in top of the rack, it's coming inside right here. And from here, this is where it enters. I have a zip tie holding it, I have Velcro holding it, I have another zip tie holding it, and I have Velcro holding it, and one more zip tie holding it right here, and more Velcro. My braid splits into 3. This is where it splits. I do not put Velcro or zip ties here just because this breathes. It needs to breathe, it needs to move. People are gonna come in this rack and do other things, and if I have everything tight like this, if they're gonna zip tie to this, they're gonna like make it too tight and stuff is gonna start pulling out. So that's one way to help let this breathe. 2, I always fold my cables going the long way for the patch panels. So generally you would see it coming out like this, but in my experience, I've noticed that when people come in behind you to do stuff, let's say that one of these lines is messed up or somebody punched it down wrong, right? Because we ran it opposite down there, you can literally pull it off from here and then re-terminate it. And let's say you mess up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Let's say 6 times. you mess up back there, you can still go straight to this because of we're going from the opposite side. When I say opposite side, I mean this right here is going into this. It's not coming out of, this braid is not coming out of this side. It's coming out of that far side. So literally, if you mess up all the way to right here, you can still kind of just go straight to the patch panel. And that's what lazier technicians tend to do. Not calling you lazy if you do it now, but those who come in behind us tend to do it a little sloppier, a little lazier, a little less effort. And I do it on pretty much all of my panels except for our voice panel or our Charlie panel. This one is not going to be edited a lot, and I actually fixed this one down here. It's zip tied so it can't move. And this one is my stationary, meaning it's not gonna go nowhere. It's gonna just stay here. And going over all of this, I know this looks a little messy because it is, but I'm on the outside of my bar for my 96 port patch panel, and literally they're just laying on top. So if I have to ever pull one out, I can literally just pull it out. And if you look at the back, I have my 5 purple cables, 2 to the SRO2, 2 to SRO3, and my last one to the rack mount battery, the Veritiv. They're all cabled up. Service loop in the back, kind of nice. It looks a little sloppy, but it's kind of nice. And this is to just maintain this so there's no, chaos in the back of this. SATA cables. So these ports right here are SATA ports. There's 4 of them right here. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So these SATA ports come with SATA cables. There will be 1 per switch. Now these are SATA ports and SATA cables for these Dell switches. There's switch 1, there's switch 2, and there's switch 3. Now, I know you noticed, because I know that you're pretty smart watching this video. There's 2 cables in this, there's 2 cables in this, and there's 2 cables in this. Where do they go, and what's the setup? I'm gonna show you. Port 1, switch 1, this one right here, or this one right here, goes from port 1, switch 1, to port 1, switch 2. Port 2, switch 1, goes to port 1, switch 3. Port 2, switch 2, goes to port 2, switch 3. Those are 3 cables that are giving you your 6 points of contact. How is that? There are 3 cables, and each cable has 2 ends, making it 6 ends. 1, 5. So once again, port 1, switch 1 goes to port 1, switch 2. Port 2, switch 1 goes to port 1, switch 3. Switch 2, port 2 goes to switch 3, port 2. Next thing on connections on the rack, this is a box called the Guillermo box. This is going to connect our nodes and our switches to the cradle point. I already zipped the cable up, but this is the Guillermo cable's thicker side. See where it says Guillermo. So the Guillermo cable connects to all of our console cables. Now, this Guillermo cable has a nickname for our company. We call it the octopus cable. Obviously, it's not an octopus cable because this is 4 legs, but whatever. On the 4 legs, if you look at these black heads, there's 4 black heads. These are part of the Guillermo cable. Now, I know you see that. It says 1 on that. Let's look at this next one. This next one says 2. This next one says, you guessed it, I think that says 4. 4. And you probably are guessing this last one. It says 3. Yes, 3 or 4 heads on this bad boy. Now, how do we know which cables connect to what? Let's look at the front. There's 2 white cables and 2 flat black cables. I see a white cable. I see another white cable. I see a flat cable. Can't see it. Oh, there's the other flat cable. So how do I know which ones are which? Boys and girls and everything in between, follow me. This is 1. This is 2. This is 3. This is 4. Here's something very easy to remember. 1, 2, 3, 4. Simple and easy. What is this? I don't know what this device is. This device is our Cradle Point, providing internet accessibility since the early 2000s. Guillermo cable actually connects on the side of that in the USB port, and underneath in our LAN 2 PoE port, we connect this Cradle Point to switch 2. You see, or that's switch 3, my bad. Switch 2, port 43. Right there. This is the cable that's connected to our Cradle Point. Last but not least, we have our nodes. We have node 0 and node 1. Now, all of this information I'm going over, minus the SATA cables, that's important. But most of these, actually no, I think the SATA cables have been updated. They're all in our cluster topology. This video is just an easier way to go over the cluster topology. Let's look. I color coordinated this to make it easier to see. So if you look, there's 5 ports, actually 6 ports. There's 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, there is 0, 3, there is 0, 4, and there is 0, 5. On both ports, or excuse me, on both devices, they're gonna go like so. 0, 1 to 0, 1, 0, 2 to 0, 2, 0, 3, node 0 goes to 46, my bad, 47, switch 1. We skip 4, and 5 goes to 48, switch 1. Now, node 1's port 3 goes to switch 2, 47. And node 1's port 5 goes to 48, switch 2. Cluster topology is provided by the customer, as well as we do have our own copy of it as well. If you ever need to obtain this, you can always reach out to your analytical team member or your network team member, and they will always be able to provide it for you. And remember, cluster topology continuously changes and evolves, so it may not remain the same. But as of today's date, August 31st, 2022, this is what the current cluster topology is. Now I'm gonna label this and show y'all what it looks like. Okay, so I labeled everything, and these are device labels, device ID, patch panel labels. All 3 are the first portion of our electrical outlet labeling. And just to be a smarty pants, pop quiz. What is K5 if you write it out from looking at this? I don't know. If we step back, how would we tell? K5. Okay, let's write it out. Patch panel A, K5, 56. I think it's easy. Let's do it. So we know it's K5. We know it's a dot. We know that port is 56. And we know it's A, because that's what the patch panel label was. So if we know this, we know that the other side of this cable is going to have this formula, this label on its port. And we can actually just go look for that right now. K556 Alpha. K709 Alpha. What if I turn it like this?
Chris.
There you go. K709. Patch panel A, Alpha. That's why we do it, so we can find it on the panel easy. So we have these wonderful doors, but they don't really come like this. This is what it comes out looking like, finished with the lock attached. But how did I get here? And where did I get that lock? So this is what it looks like without the lock. And if I go in the bag, get a lock, this is what the lock looks like. So do we put it in like this, folks? No. Do we put it in like this, folks? No. How do we put it in? Yes. We go in. Do-do-do-do. Nope. Go in. Yep. Slide it up a little bit. See how it wiggled in there? Last step. Push it in. And it locked in. And it works. Da, 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 da. In this bag comes some locks and a key. It is on a box that's inside of the rack that's attached to this. Now, we threw that box away earlier, but I bet you could tell where it was taped to. No hints giving it away. But, yeah. What I did is I sat it inside, and I'm just gonna close it. Let's say it didn't close all the way. Like it was still like out, even though we put it in like this. So, ooh, that was perfect. So what we do is get your hand and go a small knock. Stop it from falling out. Last but not least, let's start this up real quick. Start up guidance. Alright, so this is the beginning page. It says startup guidance. You hit next. I'm hitting enter to hit next. This says English. Temperatures are Fahrenheit. This is system data is out of date. And the time is obviously out of time. We're gonna hit next though. Output is auto detect. That's good. Volts auto detect results. It's supposed to be set to that. We hit next. Configuration is finished. Hit enter. So this says new alarm present. Show log. Yeah, show log. We're gonna go to controls and we're gonna turn on the UPS. Hit enter. Step back. Watch it light up. Check for the lights. 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 There you have it, folks. That's how you start the rack, the battery. That's the cluster topology. And that's how I cable manage a rack. See you next time. And remember, folks, 3v2, go above and beyond.